Good morning, this is Meir Valensky with markets driving while talking about markets. Let's kick off. So the markets are looking overstretched. The Nasdaq being led up by the Mega 7. What's the Mega 7? The Alphabets, the Amazons, the Apples, the Metas, the Microsoft, the Nvidias, and the Tesla. All of those 7 have pulled up US markets in 2023. It has not been a broad-based rally. The Russell 2000 has underperformed. The S&P minus the Mega 7 has underperformed, and that is definitely a concern when talking about financial markets. What you've got to look at is you've got to look at what is driving markets at the moment, and AI from the beginning of this year is what has been driving markets. Artificial intelligence, and obviously coming in from the chip makers, or the semiconductor chip makers to be more specific. However, that rally will be short-lived. Now, what they're looking at is the markets are looking at where interest rates are going to be and inflation is going to be in 2024. And there is certain concepts or ideas that rates will come down around about between March and May 2024. Don't agree with that. I don't think rates will come down in the first 6 months of 2024, as the Fed has said quite clearly that inflation is sticky. What's interesting enough is that the US GDP second estimate comes out today. US GDP came in at 4.9%. Is that not a bit strange? They got GDP at 4.9% and small businesses are suffering. So you've got to look at what made up that GDP. Well, 27% to 30% was future purchases by businesses on inventories. So that is future business. The other 31% was federal spending. Interesting. What? Federal spending is now part of GDP. Interesting number. And then the rest of it was consumer spending. So 4.9% GDP in the US would be more like a developing or emerging market. So the numbers aren't being concocted, same as the non-farm payrolls and the employment numbers are being concocted, where a third are government jobs, a third are nursing jobs, and a third are productive jobs. So if you look at production on GDP and production on the jobs, they are very, very low. But yet the markets analysts and the markets are just taking it all in because they want to move higher irrespective. So it's all going to come into some sort of cataclysmic crash. And that does not include what's happening with the US regional banks. We haven't even talked about European banks. We talked about US regional banks: Zions, Co-America, Huntington, Fifth and Third, M&T, to name but a few. Western Alliance are all in trouble, and the Fed and the US Treasury will have to bail them out. Now, that's being plastered over and being ignored by markets, being ignored by the Fed and the central banks and the government offices, because they're hoping that the US is going to sort of work its way out of it. But it's not, because household debt now is at a level not seen since 2008. Commercial property in certain areas in the US is crushed. Residential property is fine because it's still on a low fixed rate in the US. Moving on to European banks, you've got Bank Paribas, which is absolutely in terrible state. I was going to use bad language. And you've got Deutsche Bank, which owes more money than the whole of Germany together. Germany GDP is negative. Germany, the powerhouse of Europe, is in trouble and going into negative production. So overall, when you look globally, macro, fundamentally of what's going on in the marketplace, you can see there is an issue out there. China also is lagging and shrinking, contracting, but China's trying to solve its problems by exporting its economic success elsewhere to Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and it's probably got some sort of other ulterior motives besides economic to do that. But there's an economic war going on between the US and China, so China is trying to outbid the US. So overall, markets are overstretched. We're expecting a major correction. May not happen, maybe just continue rising, and I could be completely wrong. Who knows? Because when it comes to financial markets, you never really know. A lot of it is manipulated. But we're going into an election year, 2024, general election year. The established administration does not like to see a fall in financial markets. It does not look good on Biden. He doesn't look good in any case, but doesn't look good on Biden. That's it for now. You can share, subscribe, comment. You can look at my books on Amazon, and I've also got a channel on Instagram. If you need anything, you can DM me. Happy to help. This is Meir Walensky with Drive-In Markets. Catch you later.